Hi, everybody. We are going to look at section 3.7 today, which is how to write linear equations. So in this one, we're going to be given different information than we have in previous sections. The two biggest things that I want us to just kind of write on the first page instead of reading through all of this. The first one is that you need M and B. So those are the two things that you need. You need your slope and your y-intercept in order to write an equation. If you have to find both, you are going to find M first. And we'll go through how to do different examples like this on the next page. So just skip through this. If you guys get lost on anything, you can always go back and read that first page. Okay, let's go ahead and start with example 1. This one says to write an equation for each line. This one says that the line passes through 0, -8, and has m equal to 4. So remember before we start that your y-intercept or your b value is at 0, b. So it has just a 0 in the x spot of the variable. So for this one, we have our slope given to us. It tells us that m equals 4, and it also tells us what b is, because we have a 0 here. So this would be, -8 would be our b value. So I have everything that I need. Because remember, we just need what our m to go in front of our x and then our b to go after. So we know m is 4 and b is -8, so I'm going to have y equals 4x minus 8. And that's everything that we need. Looking at problem B, we have been given the slope. We're told that m equals 4. We've also been given a point. So if we have a point given to us, we still need to find our b value. So this is not a point at 0 something, so we have to find our b value. If we are looking for our b value, we're going to plug everything into our equation. So we're going to plug what we have into y equals mx plus b. We have this as an x value, and this as a y value, and this is our m value. So we're going to use this specific scenario, y equals -8, m equals 4, and x equals 1 to solve for what our b value is. So I'm taking and plugging in y, m, and x from the information that I have. So I'm going to work this out and solve for b. So 4 times 1 is just 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and solve for b by subtracting by 4 on each side. So I get -12. So that's my b value. So now I have everything that I need because we just needed m, which is -4, and we needed b, which is -12. Those are the two things that we need in order to write our equation, so we're ready to go. Y equals blank x plus or minus blank, so it's 4 for m, and then it's a -12 for b, so we're going to write it like that. Y equals 4x minus 12. For C, it says the line passes through -8, 6 and -4, 4. So this time we are not given M or B. So we haven't been given anything. So for this one, we have to find both M and B. So remember, if you have to find both, you're first going to solve for m. So step 1 will be to find m. So I'm going to use my formula for slope. So this is my first x and first y, second x, second y. So I'm going to have 4 minus 6 for the top. For the bottom, I'm going to have negative 4 minus negative 8. So I'll have negative 2 over 4, or negative 1/2. All right, this is my slope. I have m. Now I have to find b. And I'm going to do it the same way that I did this one right here. So this was to find b. I took and I plugged everything into y equals, took and I plugged everything into y equals mx plus b. So I have m to plug in, and you can go back and you can use either of the points for your x and your y. I'm going to go ahead and use my first point. So I'm going to use 6 for the y value. M is negative 1/2. X is negative 8. And I'm solving for b. So we're going to work it out and solve. So negative 1/2 times negative 8, that will be positive 4. And then subtract 4 from both sides to solve, and you get 2. So my b value is 2. I now have both of the things that I need. I needed m and I needed b. So I'm going to go ahead and write my final equation. Whoops, I did it again. The negative 1/2 will go in front of my x value, and it'll be plus 2, because it's a positive 2 for my y-intercept. Okay. Part D says that the line passes through the points with the following ordered pairs. If you wanted to for part D, you could use one of these points as 0, 5 and 1, 2, and you could go through the same steps that we used for part C, where you had to first find your M and then you found your B. Oh, also, if you want to go back and label this one, step 1 was to find our M, which was right here. And then step 2 was over here, where we said that we had to find our B value. And then that was our final answer. So what we could do is we could just use 2 points and go through the steps of first finding M and then plugging everything into our equation to find B. However, we can be a little bit more creative with finding out what M and B are. Remember that B is your starting point, or wherever you have 0 for the x value. So if we look right here, yay, we've got 0 for x, so our b value would be 5. So we already know that it's just going to be plus 5. Now we have to solve for m. And we know from looking at our previous sections that m is just the change in y over the change in x. So we're going to go ahead and look at the change in y. So we're going down 3, and then we're going to go up 1, up 1. So this is negative 3 over 1, or negative 3. So I'm just going to write it as y equals negative 3x plus 5. There we go. Let's go ahead and answer example 2. This one says to write an equation of a horizontal line that passes through negative 3, 5. So whenever you have a horizontal line, it is going to be y equals whatever value. Part B is to do the same thing, but you're going to be looking at your vertical line. And your vertical line will just be x equals whatever value it is. So for part A, if we're looking at the horizontal being y equals, we're going to use the y value. So our horizontal line will just be y equals 5. And for part B, we want the vertical line, so we're going to use our negative 3. So we have x equals negative 3. We're going to use that same idea for example 3. This one says to write the equation of the horizontal and vertical line given this point. So for my horizontal, I'm going to have y equals, and look at the y value, that's 8. And for my vertical, it's going to be x equals, and whatever the x value is, that would be 5. The next one we are going to skip for now. And we're going to go ahead and do a few of these problems where we are solving for our equation. Okay, remember, you always want two things. You want M and you want B. If you have to solve for both, you're going to solve for M first. Okay, so looking at number 1. For number 1, we are given a point and we are given the slope. All right, so we have M. We know M equals negative 5, but we still need to find B. So B equals what? That's the big question mark here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in everything that I have into my equation y equals mx plus b so that I can solve for that specific value. So I have M, and then I'm going to use my point to have an x and a y value. Okay, so using that point, I'm going to plug in 4 for the y. M is negative 5. X is 3. Now I'm just going to solve for b. So that would be negative 15. And then I'm going to add 15 both sides. So I get 19. Okay, those are the two things that I needed, M and B. So I have y equals negative 5x plus 19. Let's go ahead and do one more. Let's look at number 3. For number 3, we are given M as 1/2, but we don't know what B equals. So again, write your equation and plug in what we have. So y equals 2, M is 1/2, X is 8, and we're solving for B. So I'm going to multiply here. I get 4. So let's solve. We get negative 2. Okay. So y is 1/2. And my B value is negative 2. I'm also going to have us look at number 4, and it's not because it's a hard one, it's because it's simple. We have m as 2/3, and you also have your b value because it's at a 0. So b equals 4. So we have y equals 2/3 x plus 4. For the next few problems, we are only given 2 points. So for these ones, we have to solve for both the m value and the b value. So let's first, for number 5, we first need m. So we're first going to find m. So we're going to use m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to take my second y minus my first y. So this will be 2 minus -1. For the bottom, it'll be 2 minus 1. So I get 3 over 1, and you can also just write that as 3. Okay, step 2 is to find your b value. So I'm going to write my equation, y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to plug in for every value except for b. Now you can again pick either point. I like to just pick from the first point. So I'm going to use this as x, this is y. So I have -1 equals 3 times 1 plus b. Okay, solve for b. We get -4. Okay, using those two things, write your equation. Y equals 3x minus 4. Let's do another one like that. So turn to the other page. Let's do number 8. So we have to find both m and b. So I'm first going to find m. So using my slope formula, second y minus first y over second x minus first x. So 8 minus 22 we get -14 over 3 minus 10 is -7. So it ends up being just a +2. Now I'm going to plug in my values to solve for b. I'm just going to use my first point. So 22 equals 2 times 10 plus b. So that would be 20 plus b. So we get 2. So y equals 2x plus 2. For the last problems, you are just finding the equations for the horizontal or vertical line. Remember, if it is a horizontal line, it is going to be y equals a number. For your vertical line, it is going to be x equals a number. So what I like to do is I like to just circle which number we're going to be using. So let's look at which ones are horizontal. So number 10 and number 12 are horizontal lines. So those ones we're going to be using the y value. So for number 10, just going to state y equals and look at the number you circled, 2. And that's it. So for number 12, you're going to write y equals -4. For number 9 and for number 11, you're going to do the same thing, except now you're looking at a vertical line, so you're going to use your x values. So for number 9, it would be x equals 0. And for number 11, it would be x equals -7. In your homework, you do have some more problems that have applications in real world word problems. If you have any questions, guys, please just let me know. I am happy to help. Have a great day, everybody.